Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Unsolicited by Faith. Today is less about me giving advice to you and more so you being a viewer in on my own thought processes and how I work things out in my head. I've been journaling for the past, I want to say 2, maybe 3 years now, and I love doing it, and it's really changed me as a person. But I'm starting to really use this format as a new way of journaling, and I've been really enjoying it because the visual aspect of seeing where I am physically really helps me remember where I was mentally. And I'm excited to see how that will progress over time. Currently, in this body and in this space, I find myself unrecognizable. This is a thought that's been recurring in my brain for months, maybe even years now. And it's more so just this fact that sometimes when I look in the mirror and I see the snapshot of where I am in my life and what I'm doing and the beliefs that I embody, the person that I wish to be, and the person that I am is so much different from who I anticipated to be when I was younger. We're such different people. This younger version that I have in my head and when I was younger, I really thought that I would be like a famous rich celebrity by now. For sure. For sure. If I hadn't at least had some sort of following by now, then I must have been doing something wrong. That's what I thought when I was little me. And now I don't really want that. I don't want to be famous. And I love my privacy. I love being able to fail in private and evolve and grow without being or having spectatorship. I'm finding that the more that I heal certain parts of myself and certain aspects of myself, like my fear of failure and my anxious attachment style and the things that motivate me, like validation and my vanity, I'm turning into a completely different person than what I once imagined myself to be. And part of that is terrifying. It is so scary. It's so scary because why am I so different from what I used to be? Like, why are the things that I want now so completely different from what I used to want? And am I letting down a part of myself by switching gears? And what is this attachment that I have to my past desires if they're no longer things that I desire in my current moment? I think a lot of it just comes from my fear of other people seeing me and seeing where I end up, and them finding that shock in themselves of like, that is not how your life was supposed to go. Like, Faith was supposed to be this person. Faith is supposed to be the girl, like the it girl, and has all eyes on her and is beautiful and majestic and classy and always knows what to do and is constantly ahead of the game. And that's just, those parts of me that desires that identity is just really disappearing. I've also been having a lot of trouble with motivation because I used to really only be motivated by fear and external validation. None of my drive came from within. It was all a force, a pressure that I pushed down on myself until I broke again and again and again. But it got me places, you know? It got me accolades and honors and rewards and praise, which is what I wanted more than anything, was to be praised and seen as this, almost like this beacon, whether that be mainly within my family or by my teachers and other authoritative figures. And now I find myself in a position where I don't really care who you are. If I'm not happy and if I'm not proud of myself, what I'm doing doesn't matter. Even if it is the best thing in the world to everyone else around me. And what scares me is that if I let that go, if I let go of my fear of attachment and my fear of failing and my fear of not being good enough, of letting people down, what the hell is going to get me out of bed in the morning? I used to have so much anxiety about that stuff, of just not being, I always said I didn't want to be just okay and just good. I want to be excellent. And that is something that I still want, but I don't want it in the same way. What I'm trying to say is, what do you do when everything that used to motivate you and that used to get you out of bed in the morning no longer matters? To you, at least. What do you do? And who are you? That's where I'm finding myself, is like, who am I without these things, these constant anxieties that I put on myself? I'm just comfortable, like, all the time. And that's terrifying. Aside from money, what am I driven for? I'm really scared that... Let me tell you a story. When I was in middle school, I did my first ever play. And I fell in love with acting and theater. And from then on, I really dedicated a lot of my energy, time, money, resources into trying to build and pursue acting as a career. And then about a year, maybe even a year and a half ago now, I stopped. After really building a community of people who supported me and my ambitions and were looking forward to what I would do with it, I walked away because of how unhappy it was making me. The pressure was just really getting to me. I felt myself confining my life into the mold of an actor, a working actor, and I wanted to live. And I did all of that because I fucking loved it. I loved acting more than I loved anything in my life. Genuinely. It was the food and water to my soul and my spirit, and I was willing to break my body for it, you know? And ever since I've walked away from it, I've felt so lost because it was the one thing in my life that I was sure of, that I knew, that I wanted to do, that I felt that I could always come back to. And it still is, but I'm finding that passion, that fire I had, I can't apply it anywhere else. And it's really, really bothering me. My biggest fear is just that I will never feel passionate about anything else like that ever again. And I really don't know what to do about that. Because I still do have that fire. I still love it. And I would still do it. But I just don't want to sacrifice my life for it anymore. If I were to give some advice to myself, since there's no one else here to do it for me, listening to myself, it really sounds like I'm going through everything that everyone else my age is going through. I think that if you're not having at least some of these thoughts of cognitive dissonance between who you are currently and who you thought you would be previously in your life, at least this point in your life, it's either right around the corner or you're doing something wrong and you really need to do some deep soul searching. Because the idea that we're going to be the same way throughout our entire lives is ridiculous. Our beliefs are going to change, our environments are going to change, the people we associate with and aspire to be, they are going to change themselves, and in that, I or you will too. And it would not be fair to your experience as a human being and the gift of life that you have to shame and look down on yourself for not being linear. It's terrifying, but if you don't do it now, when it feels most authentic and most correct, it's going to come out in some way or another later. Either in other parts of your life or another phase of your life when you've already built a life around the identity and the person that you thought you were supposed to be. This is why people have midlife crises when they're 40, I believe, because they never did the one thing that they wanted to always do, and they find themselves halfway through life and desperate to make a change because they were scared. Well then, I feel like I just solved my own problem right now. If the thing that is troubling me is this fear of not being who I thought I was, then that just means I need to lean into it more and see it more as a blessing than a curse, because fear is the mind killer, and on the other side of it is growth. Always. Okay. I'm gonna end this video here. If you watched all of this, thank you. I really hope that you're loving yourself as much as you deserve to be loved as well. And I will see you in another video. Bye bye.